And welcome, everybody. Hello. This is time for your Nooner with Dave LaMont. I am right. You guessed that part. And subscriptions are always available for absolutely nothing on YouTube. And you can follow on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, you're here on Facebook Live. I promised you a second part of our two-part Masters preview, and that is coming with my man Ray Boone from the Ray Boone Golf Academy in a couple of minutes, and he is standing by. But we got to talk a few things about the weekend. And first off, I'll start with my congratulations to the Florida Gators for winning the SEC East. You might say, well, wait, they have other games to play, and you'd be right. However, they are going to be favored, and in some cases quite comfortably, for the rest of the season. This is not a great year for the SEC. I don't know who it's a great year for, by the way, in college football when you think about everything that's going on. But outside of Alabama and now Florida, the rest of the SEC looks just either okay or downright bad. We found out that Georgia was a touch overrated at number 5. How they got there with that offense, I don't know. Their inability, and I don't even – part of me wishes I was in the meeting room with the Georgia coaches when they looked over the video and saw how many mistakes they made and how many receivers that were open were missed, or how many guys dropped passes. Now, look, Florida won that game. Georgia didn't lose it, but Georgia didn't help itself. So they were vastly overrated. Now, Florida is properly rated. That's a good football team that may be getting better, especially on defense. And they have dealt with the virus. They've had a very difficult time of it. A couple of weeks ago, the Missouri game, they had 14 people unable to play for most likely virus-related reasons, although that was never confirmed, to be fair. Who's going to stop Alabama? I don't think anybody is. Texas A&M might be the third best team in the conference. That's the one team that beat Florida. And they've got that going for them, but they're in the West. So, again, look, Arkansas might be on the way up, but they're not there yet. Tennessee started fast. They've cooled. Kentucky seems to be backsliding. Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Mississippi, forget about it. And South Carolina, I forgot they were in the SEC. So it's just not a great year for that conference. I don't know who looks great so far. I don't know about Pac-12. I think they got one game in, maybe two. That's right. Oregon, Washington, USC, Arizona State. They had 10 cancellations over the weekend. You've already got the Air Force Wyoming game. That's not happening this weekend. So, yeah, it's a mess still. And then you have the weirdness out of Notre Dame, where a wonderful win for the Irish, and then their students muck it up by flooding the field, thereby earning a reprimand from, of all people, the president of Notre Dame. And if I have to explain why that's ironic, you're behind. But yeah, there's a nasty letter that came from the presidency in South Bend explaining, basically, to make it in Animal House terms, double secret probation for the entire student body in South Bend. Go find it online. I don't have it with me. Go find it. It's stern, to say the least. As for the NFL, well, remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of skepticism regarding starting Tua Tagovailoa over Ryan Fitzpatrick. What are we doing to poor Ryan? He's such a great guy. The team is 500. They're going to be okay. Okay. Remember what I always like to tell you, that they know more than we do? Well, they've proven that they know more than we do. And they, being Brian Flores and his staff, decided to make a move during the off week. They're 2-0. Yes, admittedly, the Rams game was as much a win for the defense as it was for the offense. In fact, it was more, but not yesterday. Not in what was a shootout, perhaps showcasing two major superstars, Kyler Murray and Tua, in the NFL. Now, I know Tua's only played 2, and I'm sorry, I'm not attending his Canton Hall of Fame speech just yet. But still, this was a game where he had to go do something. The Rams game, he didn't. 28-7 at one point in that game, and you can kind of sit around and, yawn your way through it. You couldn't do that yesterday, and they won. So clearly the right decision was made. You've got a lot to feel good about this team. They are certainly a playoff contending team, if not a playoff team. And while they may not be the best in the AFC, the Steelers all of a sudden for 2 weeks in a row have looked meh at best. They were nearly embarrassed by the Cowboys yesterday. And Kansas City, okay, they got into a shootout with Carolina, and they can basically outscore anybody. But now the Dolphins are in a position where they can get into shootouts and perhaps succeed too. So you really got to be pretty happy if you're a Dolphin fan. If you're a UM fan, here's my judgment, and I'll talk more about this later, but let's give you the mini version here before I bring Ray on. They won. Okay, that's it. Remember what I've talked about all year with this Hurricane team. There's only one thing that matters. And I don't care if, and you shouldn't either, if they win by 50 or by a half. Just win. Win the games you are, quote unquote, supposed to win, which has been a huge problem in the past. Well, so far this year, they've won every game they are supposed to win and lost the one game that everybody and their brother knew they were going to lose, including probably them. So you really don't have a lot to complain about. You really don't. So don't fly your stupid banner planes. Why don't you put that money toward, if you love the university so much, why don't you donate, what is it, the $1,000 or whatever it costs for those things, to the university? There's a thought, idiots. All right. Friday, we talked about the financial impact of bringing this Masters into November with Suzanne Sinisgalli, who knows the hospitality industry in that Aiken, Augusta area so well. Now, with the tournament into practice rounds, it is time to start getting quite serious about how this is going to be played. And there's only one man I care about enough to know is going to give me the right answer, and that's from the Ray Boone Golf Academy, the aforementioned Ray Boone. My friend, how are you?
I'm doing excellent, Dave. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very, very well. I've got green. This is the closest, since I've never been to the tournament anyway. This is the closest I've got for green. Interesting happenings over the weekend in Houston with Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka playing well, Johnson winning the tournament. Does that change how you feel about this week's Masters, knowing that those guys might be on good form?
For sure, for sure. You want to come into Augusta putting the ball well. You want to come in shooting good scores. And those are two guys that are certainly going to be favorites this week. They're high-powered players. They hit it far. But still, I'm hearing nothing but Bryson DeChambeau. What do you think about him?
Yep. You asking me?
I'm
just going to ask you. But I'll be honest with you. I'm not turned on by his approach, and I don't know why, because there's not a single golfer on the planet that wouldn't want to hit that distance, and for the most part with that control. And I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he's just not a warm enough guy, at least to the public, that – and I'm wondering, you talked about it already about the putting, and everybody has called Masters a putting contest. So I guess the question is, if he does try to physically overwhelm the course, can he make those putts and read those greens the right way, since he doesn't quite have the experience that these other players do? He absolutely has a shot. I mean, he's going to be hitting wedges into every par five, right? Especially on the back nine.
I mean, from what I've heard in the practice rounds, he's hitting like 7-iron into hole number 8. I'm here he's hitting like sand wedges into 1 and 9. And, he's going to have a very good chance to get the ball close to the hole. So, we're going to see what happens. Can he really putt the ball as good as you need to putt at Augusta National? Right now, he's ranked 131st in putting on tour, so that's not so good.
No, and those greens are particular. I mean, the guys who win it always seem to know all the little funky features about those greens.
Yeah, there's definitely experience is really important at Augusta National. Having a great caddy that's experienced at Augusta. If you don't putt well there, you have absolutely no chance. I don't care how good you hit the golf ball. If you hit the ball in the wrong spots on the greens, you're looking at 3 putting and 4 putting, and it's just impossible to make birdies. But if you have sand wedges in all day and he's able to keep it in the fairway at 370 yards out, that's a hell of a combination. He's definitely going to have a chance to win if he can keep it in play. The question is swinging that hard at it. And I don't know if you've probably been to Augusta. Have you ever been there at all? Or
only the city, not the course. No, I have not.
It's narrow off a lot of those tees. The trees are grown in, and it's tight. Some of them are really tight holes, and you don't have a lot of space to hit the golf ball there. And you're playing out of the pine straw from the trees, and it's not going to be easy if you're in the bushes. But again, if he could somehow keep it in play, swinging that hard at it, and have wedges in, he's going to have a chance. And guys like Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas, those guys are all long hitters, but not in that category. Although they might start to get in that category if DeChambeau actually wins the tournament. So. We'll see what happens, but it's always going to be the guy that's going to have a hot putter that week. They're going to have a chance.
How many people, when they come to you for instruction, bring his name up and go, I know I can't hit it 400 yards, but can you add 20, 30? What's he doing that is teachable, or is there anything that's teachable that he's doing?
Well, you have to have a great body to be able to make the turn that this guy's making, and then he's training going super fast. So, the average player is not going to be able to do that. But can you have a little bit bigger shoulder turn? Can you turn your hips a little more on your backswing? Can you actually go faster? And a lot of people are taught to go very slow on the takeaway. Well, that's not what he's doing. He's going extremely fast on the takeaway and obviously faster through impact. But some of that can be taught. Everybody, I think, pick up a little bit of speed. More important, though, is going to be to hit the golf ball in the center of the club face and maybe get them to turn the ball right to left, where you get them drawing the ball more. That's going to add some distance to their tee shots.
So let me think. Turn, shoulder, swing faster. Turn. Well, okay, I'm out. That's gonna. All right,
Dave, you can do it. You hit it pretty far, Dave. Come on.
We'll talk. I'm going to be visiting soon. Another trip to prepare for, so I'll be coming to see you soon. Especially if it ever stops raining. Where I don't know about where you're at down in a little south of me, but at least now it's not raining. It's very windy. It's about a 4-club wind at the moment. But
yeah.
All right. So is it good for golf what DeChambeau is doing? Because that has been a criticism of his. Others think it's wonderful. He's just doing what he's capable of. Others are saying he's going to ruin the game. Where do you land on that?
I got to say, Tiger Woods came along. He was one of the longest hitters of all time at that moment, and he was, making the courses play really short. Everybody was saying kind of the same thing. And now DeChambeau taking it to a whole nother level. I thought, 330 off the tee was a long distance. And now we're looking at, 360, 370, 380. How far can it go? And then, can you really keep it in play enough to win a golf tournament for 4 rounds with that? You still have to have a short game. And the wedge game is all feel. Hitting a 60-yard wedge shot, and the pins at Augusta are tucked right in behind the bunkers. There is zero green to work with. I mean, you got to hit them perfect. And that's finesse and feel. And does a player possess the strength, but still have that feel that's required, that touch around the greens, that touch with the putter? That's a big question to be answered.
What about with Koepka? In and out this year, it really has been a very quiet year for him. And all of a sudden he appears after all these knee problems, finishes, I think it was 5th over the weekend. Mentally, I don't think we can question the toughness. I'm just wondering if physically, with the hills of Augusta, the fact that that course isn't flat, I do know that.
For sure.
Does he stand a chance? Does he have the game right now to contend in this tournament?
It's hard to say. One of the strikes against Koepka is that he does fade the ball. He pretty much swings slightly left on and fades the ball most of the time, as well as Dustin Johnson. And a lot of holes need you to draw the ball out there. But again, they have power. They can hit it far enough to make the holes play short, to hit shorter irons in. So, Koepka, I think, is always going to have a chance. He's an amazing player. This guy has the concentration that's required for Sunday in a major. So, yeah, does he have a chance? For sure, even though he hasn't been playing that great lately. But, when players go to Augusta National, the magic of the place and what happens to them when they arrive, and it's just so beautiful, and it inspires players. So a guy that maybe hasn't been playing that great, all of a sudden, finds his game out there. It's hard to say.
Would that be Tiger Woods, who is not?
I'm hoping.
Who needs to find his game?
I love Tiger Woods.
Yeah, me too.
I hope that the guy is there on Sunday and has a chance to win the tournament, because I love watching Tiger play, and we love seeing him on Sundays. But it's going to be really weird with the roar on Sunday. Where is that going to be? We're not going to have any of that, which really, oh my gosh, Augusta. I've been there so many times. When I was there when Tiger chipped in on 16 behind the green, and the roar was just unbelievable. The sounds there are amazing, but it's going to be a weird and different week this week with no roars.
How do you think that might affect players? Because you mentioned, I think it gives guys momentum. And the other thing is, you could be standing on 15, waiting to hit your second shot. Somebody does something else, and it's not good for you. And you've got to
hear them. You hear them all the way across the golf course. You know what group it is too, because when Tiger's playing, he's got a ton of people with him. So you can always hear the Tiger roar over, say, a DJ roar. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know how the players are going to be excited as they normally are or get pumped up like they normally would, except that, they're playing for the green jacket.
What about conditions? I know you've been there in April. I spoke with my friend Suzanne. She said the weather in Augusta right now is outstanding. And I've seen some photos, and you probably saw them too. The course,
sure,
not surprisingly, looks wonderful. Would you know if it will play any differently?
I think the weather's going to be a little cooler. It looks like 62 to 69 this week, and they're calling for some rain as well. So that could soften the greens a little bit. They do have a sub-air system there which controls moisture. It's like a vacuum system under the ground that takes the moisture out. So they're able to control a lot of that to some extent, unless they were to get a lot of rain. But it looks like they're going to get just some showers. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. It will be a little chillier, which could make the greens a little bit quicker. A lot of times you get that grass a little colder and it shrinks up just a touch, and it could make the greens a lot faster than normal. Having said that, the greens there are always lightning. I don't know what they are on the stemp meter now, but they're probably somewhere in the 14 range, which is when you add the slopes to them. If you see the slopes in person, like you can see them somewhat on television, but when you're standing next to the greens there, the slopes are just incredible. And to see the shots that these guys play there, it's just mind-boggling, because sometimes you're aiming 30, 40, 50 feet right of the target, and it's taking the slope and coming back in, and these guys are almost holing them, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. So it's hard to say.
We've mentioned a few names, but I haven't mentioned a lot of players. Who do you think I've left out? Not on purpose, I might add. A couple of guys that you think, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to leave here today without saying keep an eye out for these guys this week.
I got to say, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay. Obviously Justin Thomas hasn't won one yet, but he's been close. Patrick Reed, it's a guy, he's won the Masters before.
Okay.
He's got the experience. Great putter. Phenomenal putter, and this guy mentally is as tough as anybody. He is tough as nails out there. So I got to look at him. If I'm looking at Jason Day's been coming back now and starting to play better, and he's a phenomenal putter. And then I'd have to mention also the young kids of Matthew Wolff and Victor Hovland. Even though they don't have experience, but these guys have been playing great golf. And, who knows if they get inspired out there, and these young guys have great eyes and can read the greens really well. You never know. As far as European guys, I'm looking at Paul Casey. He always plays well at Augusta National. He's a long hitter as well. He's not a short hitter. A gentleman, Tyrell Hatton. He's been playing really good on the European Tour. And then also Tommy Fleetwood, even though Tommy hasn't been playing so great lately, but and again, another superstar from Europe. So I think it's going to be an incredible week this week as far as, who's going to be up there.
We have Tommy Fleetwood, aka Fairway Jesus, for his hairstyle and beard. Now, I didn't hear, unless I'm having a bad connection, the name of Rory McIlroy, who every year we plant him in that favorite or co-favorite role, and every year there seems to be a 9-hole stretch that takes him out of contention, no matter what he does the other 63 holes. What do you think his chances are?
I think Rory's definitely got a good chance. He's got the firepower. He's a great player. He's been playing good all year. He's the question for him is, can he putt good enough? Can he stay mentally focused out there? I think sometimes he just psychs himself out or does something mentally out there instead of just letting it go and just whatever happens. Sometimes with that putter, you really got to free yourself up and just stop thinking and let your brain figure it out for you, and stop analyzing and stop trying so hard. Sometimes people are they're trying so hard to play well, and they can never play well. And it's like sometimes you just kind of let it go, and you're playing better than you've ever played in your life.
I equate that the term I always used, and I forgot where I saw it. It's not an original term. Is a ball player trying to hit a 5-run homer. It's that same thing where you're trying to single-handedly do something that maybe if you – and in the NFL, they always say do your job. Now, that's easy when you have 10 teammates. Here, it's just you. But it's interesting when people come to you with that end of it, what you kind of touched on a little bit as a teaching pro, your advice for somebody who admits to you, hey, Ray, I am having a hard time with the mental as much as anything I'm doing physically.
So much of it is when you're talking with a player like that it's pre-shot routine. It's really sometimes it's speeding them up. Sometimes they're taking too much time over the ball, they're taking too much time over the putts. They're analyzing way too much instead of look at the target and react to the target and play. Hit the ball, make the putt. Don't think about how to do it. Just get up there and do it. A lot of times it's just like when you're playing any other sport. The ball's coming at you. You react to the ball and you're throwing the ball and you see the target and you hit it. Golf needs to be the same thing. You need to react to the target and play. Too much time over it, too much static. Your body's frozen. You're tight. You need to stay in motion. Don't take a lot of time. See your target and go. Less thinking is better.
Yeah, don't think you're hurting a team is the other expression I think of when I hear you say that. In this case, don't think you're hurting yourself.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. You've been there. Give people a sense of what it's like from the patrons. I almost said another word, patrons' point of view of what that those days are like there and how much fun it is. Well,
it's just a magical place. I mean, as soon as you come in, I've never seen any place run like this before. I mean, from even the restrooms, you go in the restroom and I'm telling you, there's 15 people in there wiping everything and directing everybody. And you go to the range and you watch hit and the place is just a magical place. Everything is in place. There's nothing. It's perfect. When you want to talk about perfection of a golf course, it is manicured to perfection. The greens are perfect. The sand, you've never seen whiter sand and sharper edges cut in your life. The fairways, there's not a weed on the property. I don't think you could go into the backwoods and find a weed or a cigarette butt anywhere. It is immaculate. There is no, I mean, it's the experience of a lifetime. If you're a golfer and you love the game of golf, you need to go to Augusta National, watch that tournament. It's really a life-changing experience. It's amazing.
Yeah, I keep getting shut out in the lottery, but I am going to get in there one of these days, and I can't wait to do it. And the funny thing is, I've got the housing lined up. I have a friend up there. I've got a friend. Perfect. I don't even have to pay.
Perfect. That's even better.
Yeah. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit. No, because I feel that way as you do. And I know the club has taken some shots over the years from some people, but Ray, I don't know, because you're there, maybe you don't use it, but. You have been there. You don't use it. Have you ever used their app?
I have not. Basically, they take your phone away when you go in there, so you can't bring it at all. Well, you can bring a camera though on practice days, so you're allowed to take pictures on the practice days. But then when Thursday hits, there's no cameras, no phones, nothing.
Well, it's funny because if you want to keep up with it during the day, for guys like me who aren't going to be there, for a club that is steeped in rich tradition, they embraced technology as well as anybody. They have an app that's maybe the best sports app I've ever seen. As far, I don't care, who you follow. If you want to know what they've done, what they're doing, where they are on, in real time, nobody touches it. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's funny to me because you'd think they would go, apps, we're Augusta National. No, they're on it with both feet. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so they're on top of everything in this place. I mean, there's nothing that, there's no stone left unturned. Another great event that they have is the par 3 contest there. The par 3 is as entertaining as anything you could ever go to because you have all the old Masters champions come out, the Jack Nicklauses, the Gary Players, and obviously used to be Arnold Palmer before he passed, but all of them would come out and play the practice round. A lot of them paired together, Fuzzy Zeller, the Shark, just so many of them come out, and it's so entertaining to watch the guys in there, and they like to talk with the crowds, and it's a wonderful event just to go see the par 3 contest if you get a chance to do that.
All right, I need a prediction. My gut says just I'm going to pick against the favorite, but probably DeChambeau. I'll go with Justin Thomas. Who do you like?
Oh, I like Justin Thomas as well. I'm going to have to say I'm going to go Dustin Johnson.
Okay.
As my pick.
Nothing wrong with that.
He's obviously playing well. He's won majors. I think it might be his turn, and he hits it super far.
And he's overcome that $1 million swing 10-cent head thing, too, that was afflicting him earlier in his career. Once he started to break through, then that went right away. Yeah,
and he's a type that just doesn't think a lot. He just goes and plays and hits it, he's not thinking too much out there. He's just seeing the target and playing golf and getting in the hole the best he can that day. And I don't think he overanalyzes anything, and he just plays golf. And I like that mentality in Augusta.
Where can people find you, Ray, if they want to get a lesson from one of the greats? Where can they find you?
Well, they can send me an email at info@rayboonegolf.com, or they can call me at 305-322-3098. I'm at Turnberry Isle up in Aventura. I'd love to have you out.
Oh, you'll have me out.
Perfect.
As soon as no, I'm hurting again a little bit, not physically, just, so I'll be back. Absolutely. You've done wonders. You've really helped me a lot, actually. And people should know that. And it's like I need that help again. Ray, thank you again so much for finding the time.
Dave, I appreciate it.
To you. You bet, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Ray Boone from the Ray Boone Golf Academy. Before I sign off, I just wanted to have a couple of words about Alex Trebek, who passed away, unfortunately, yesterday. But it wasn't exactly the big surprise that he was going to be gone. He lived probably longer than any of us ever thought he was going to live, possibly even Alex Trebek. And he worked. The son of a gun worked through all of this. I mean, I read stories that in between shows, he was lying on the floor in agony because of the chemotherapy and the effects that it had on him. And yet, when it came time to put on the makeup and retie the tie and do shows, he did them. He was working, I think, up until October 29th on Jeopardy shows, and his final show will be seen on Christmas Day. One of my favorite things to say about a broadcaster I admire is that he or she makes it look easy, and that means they work harder than everybody else. And I read the story I posted on my Facebook page from The Ringer about Trebek, and I didn't know that he would get there on shooting days 6 a.m. He didn't have to. He's Alex Trebek. Seriously, he could limo in 20 minutes before, put the suit on, and go bang out his shows. But he had to be right in his mind. He was very self-critical, as a lot of great artists are in any genre. And yet was smooth. He was friendly. He could be funny. He could be a little biting. And there's plenty of YouTube videos that are out there right now of the biting Alex Trebek. And they're funny. And through it all, the acclaim and the affection that the players and the audience had for him was unrivaled. I can rarely think, maybe Bob Barker was more beloved or as beloved as Alex Trebek. There's probably one or two others that may be escaping me. Monty Hall, when he did Let's Make a Deal, was beloved. Richard Dawson on Family Feud. There's others. There have been others. It's an interesting and unique position in television, the game show host. But Trebek didn't have it easy with the nature of the game and what was required of him, how to pronounce certain words, and to do it all and make it look as literally as easy as making a sandwich. And he did, right to the end. And, I understand why everybody's kind of sad today about that. We've had a lot of horrible things happen. And the great irony is, with all the Saturday Night Live Sean Connery Celebrity Jeopardy sketches that come out after Sean Connery passed, then we get this. So I hope you would appreciate it and liked Alex Trebek. I know I did. I really admired his skill, and what he had was skill. But it's skill he worked at. And that's a recipe for success that we don't all do, not just in this business, but in any business. But Alex Trebek took the time, took the effort, and got the absolute most out of his career. So with that, a salute to Sláinte from the Irishman here, to Alex, and thank you for watching. Again, thanks to Ray Boone for a magnificent job. He will help your game, and he has helped mine, and he's got work to do. He doesn't know. Anyway, that's your Monday Nooner. I am pursuing another Masters-related guest, somebody who not only has been there, as Ray has been fortunate enough to, but has played the course, working on that. And perhaps I'll have that for you this week, either on an Almost Daily Dave or on Friday's Nooner, and I'll keep you posted. That's it for today. Thanks for watching the Nooner. You've had a Nooner with Dave LaMont, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.